Hi friends, this is Bilal Haider and this is the 22nd video lecture on Unity 3D C Programming. In this video we're not going to do any programming, but we'll simply learn about colliders and a little bit about rigid body. Okay, so what I've done in this scene here, I have created actually three boxes. I have this image attached to them, and also I have moved this sphere upwards. It was somewhere here, so I moved it upwards. Now it is just like that. Okay, now let's say let's actually hit play button and play the game, and let's see what happens. So we are still able to move around, we're still moving forward and backwards, but when we reach these boxes, we are actually passing through them. Okay, um, and here the colliders are needed to be discussed here. Okay, because whenever you create an object, it comes with a collider already. Okay, so a cube is comes with a box collider, a sphere comes with a sphere collider, and an uneven shape like a human character comes with a mesh collider. Okay, so but we were expecting that when it comes with these colliders, it should not move through them. Okay, we were expecting that. Actually, I was expecting that. The so that when our character is moving and there is a wall in front of it, it should not pass through it. Okay, there must be a collision that should happen. So how it can happen? We actually have to add a physics component called rigid body, and this rigid body actually gives physics to our game object. Okay, now our game object has a mass, it has a drag, it has a gravity, and it can detect collisions now. Okay, so if we'll play our game now, and we'll move our character forward, it will collide with that box. And now because it started rotating around, we were not able to move it with our keys because its axis got changed, and it was not moving forward in our reference. Okay, when I was hitting W key on my keyboard, it was moving towards me, towards the camera, but and not away from camera, just like it was doing before. That's because its axis was changed, and now we'll go and freeze our rotations here, so that whenever it hits some object or collides with some object, it should not rotate around, and that will help us. um, Look what's doing here. It's bouncing in this box, and that box is not allowing it to pass through it. Okay, and we are now controlling it with our A, S, D, and W keys on our keyboard, and it is working perfectly. When I hit D on my keyboard, it is moving towards right. A, it is moving towards left. S, backwards. W, forwards. But when it was hit with that with that box, and it started rotating. It was not moving forward anymore, okay, when I was hitting W key at that time. Now with this simple component attached with our game object, with our player, we are now able to collide with those objects which have colliders. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a rigid body component to these boxes also, and let's see what happens. Let's also attach a box with this rigid body with this box. And what this rigid body does, actually, it gives physics to these game objects. So you have noticed already that when I played the game, the boxes fell down. That's because gravity is in effect, and they will keep moving down, or they will keep falling until they hit some ground. Okay, so that's what the gravity does. And now let's hit these boxes and let's see what happens. Now, because they have some mass, and our player also has some mass, when they collide each other, they can actually drag things around. Okay, just like we're doing here, we are dragging this box on the edge of this plane, or this ground. Let's see if we keep dragging it, will it fall from this edge, or let's see. Okay, so because the gravity was in effect, it actually our player actually made that box to fall. Okay, if we'll drag our objects around or push them towards the edge, they will fall from that edge, just like a real, not layer, a real object will do. And because we don't have a, a rigid body component with this box here, we cannot drag it. Okay, we cannot drag it because the physics is not enabled. It will stay there, um, and no physics, and we cannot actually move it or drag it with our object. Okay, so this was pretty much all about this video part. In this video part, we learned that um, we have colliders with our game objects, which can detect collision, and we also learned what a rigid body is and how physics work in Unity. We also actually took 3 different cases when we didn't have any rigid body component to any of our objects, and that was a different case. Our game behaved differently. The second case was when we had a rigid body component attached to our player only, and the game was behaving differently, like it is behaving with this box here. Like it is colliding with it, but we are not able to move that box around. And the last case was when we actually added rigid body component to our boxes also, and that was the point where we were able to drag those boxes, and those were actually a physics enabled game objects. Okay, they are behaving just like a real box will behave, which you see around you. Okay, so this was pretty much all about this video part. I hope you learned something, and see you next time.